Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top news stories, as always, let's take a quick look outside that unbelievably beautiful weather window. September 29th, and it looks like maybe July out there today. Kind of felt like it at times too. Look at that beautiful blue sky as we look down at the Wenatchee Valley from our Wenatchee Heights cross-camera Sky-Fi Tower cam. And yeah, that's the Wenatchee Valley soaking up the sunshine today. Not much wind out there either. And it was just a picture-perfect day for early fall. But what a difference a year makes. Remember a year ago? September 28th and 29th. That's right, this is Spokane. Snow on that vehicle. We had snow around here, Blewett Pass had traction tires required. McNeil Canyon picked up about 2 or 3 inches of snow, and we were about 30 degrees below normal for high temperatures. Last year at this time, we were talking high temperatures only in the 40s. So unbelievable, isn't it? What a difference a year makes. We've got a lot more warm weather to tell you about, and we'll do that coming up a little bit later on in your weather forecast. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. A political sign torn from a fence led to an arrest in South Wenatchee on Sunday afternoon. Chelan County Superior Court recently completed a criminal trial, its first jury trial since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. And 2 new state audits say the Quincy School District failed to keep proper track of both federal funds for at-risk and low-income children and money gathered by the associated student body. More on that. But first, we begin tonight. Douglas County Sheriff's deputies say a man raped a female acquaintance 2 weeks ago while she was intoxicated. 20-year-old Jason Noah Shepard is charged with second-degree rape. He allegedly assaulted the woman during a party at an East Wenatchee home on September 13th. Deputies said there were witnesses to the incident and arrested Shepard on Saturday. He's now free, awaiting trial on $100,000 bond. Well, a political sign torn from a fence led to an arrest in South Wenatchee on Sunday afternoon. A homeless man allegedly ripped down a sign for Republican governor candidate Lauren Culp and then used it as a tarp to go under the tent he pitched in nearby Locomotive Park. Wenatchee police found the man with the sign and allegedly found a small amount of meth in his possession. He may face charges including the rare misdemeanor of removing or defacing a political sign. Chelan County Superior Court recently completed a criminal trial, its first jury trial since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Trials had been suspended since March under court orders, but this month the county began working with masked and socially distanced jury pools to help prevent new infections. In the trial completed on September 16th, the jury of 12 took just 90 minutes to find a Royal City woman guilty of fleeing from Wenatchee police back in March. Future trials will proceed with the same new jury selection procedure. Well, 2 new state audits say the Quincy School District failed to keep proper track of both federal funds for at-risk and low-income children and money gathered by the associated student body. In both cases, the state auditor's office says the district didn't have proper controls in place to supervise the funds. That led to higher than necessary expenditures per student and few safeguards on money brought in by students' fundraising events. The district says it's aware of the problems and taking steps to fix them. Well, coming up next, the brush drop-off yard at the Chelan Transfer Station will be closed October 1st through the 7th, so county crews can chip the large brush pile that has accumulated there. Employees at the State Department of Natural Resources don't just use fire trucks, they also build them. And years of work and dedication will not go unnoticed this year as new Eagle Scouts will be honored in a community parade in Wenatchee on Saturday, October 10th. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
So Pam, how's your mom doing?
She's okay. She's struggling. She'd like to stay in her house, and it's getting harder for her to do the daily chores.
What kinds of problems is she having?
Just basic house cleaning, taking care of her house, yard work, taking care of her medicine.
Mm-hmm. It does sound exhausting.
It is very exhausting, and I always worry about her.
Aging and Adult Care can assist you or your loved one to remain comfortably and safely in their own home. Contact them today to start the conversation.
Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Traditional values and innovation in honoring the life of each family we serve is part of the ministry of Heritage Memorial Chapel. Our staff is committed to walk with your family with compassion through this time of grief. We are here to help and here to serve, the right kind of help when you need it most. Heritage Memorial Chapel.
Welcome back. In another news, the brush drop-off yard at the Chelan Transfer Station will be closed on October 1st through the 7th, so county crews can chip the large brush pile that it's accumulated there. The rest of the transfer station will be open on normal hours. Chelan County Public Works says when the brush yard is reopened, free wood chips will be available to the public. Anyone picking up wood chips is asked to bring a shovel, gloves, and any other equipment needed to load the materials. Employees at the State Department of Natural Resources don't just use fire trucks, they also build them. The department says the 20 or so trucks it builds each year is a savings for taxpayers. Here's a look at how they do it.
So this is a plasma table. It's done all by air and electricity. It'll cut stainless material. We can do copper. It'll cut all the way up to 1.5 inches. So it'll cut an 1.5 inch thick steel for about $40,000 for the machine. The new plasma. So in 1 year's build cycle of a 20 truck build, it basically paid off, keeping all of it in-house instead of having to outsource it at sublet. Our deck sheets, they come in a custom cut. They start as a 5x10, so I'm able to build extra products that go on our trucks that fit in that scrap material that we never even used to get. So we're able to build basically an essential, a free part that goes on our fire trucks. What we're looking at here, this is a fire deck that goes on our fire trucks, the water tank that has the foam tank built in, and the basket on top that we build. The basket carries a lot of the firefighters' equipment. They store a lot of their items up there, extra gas, things like that. But this is the start basically of a fire deck for a fire truck. Tremendous cost savings, yeah. By the time we're all done, by the time we buy the cab chassis and build this deck, we're about $125,000 into a truck. If we were to go purchase that truck on contract, they're over $200,000. The life cycle on a fire truck's 10 years, so as they cycle out to keep them efficient and on the road all the time, we're replacing them. It takes about 160 man hours to build a fire truck. So quite a few man hours go into building 20 fire trucks every year out here. And that's probably our biggest project every year, is making sure we've got new fire trucks to keep the DNR force going.
Years of work and dedication will not go unnoticed this year, as new Eagle Scouts will be honored at a community parade in Wenatchee. It's happening on Saturday, October 10th. At least 6 and possibly 8 Scouts will be celebrated at a community parade in the town Toyota Center parking lot. Starting at 2:30 p.m., community members are invited to drive through the lot off Walla Walla Avenue and share their congratulations with the newly minted Eagle Scouts. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's featured story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
The 2 hottest pickups in America are at Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. First, the Ram 1500 with back-to-back Truck of the Year awards from Motor Trend, and now the Car and Driver 10 Best list for 2020. They call it a luxury sedan with pickup capabilities. Ram is on a roll now with 3rd-generation EcoDiesel power. Next up, the Jeep Gladiator, also a 2020 10 Best model based on the new award-winning Jeep Wrangler. It has options and capabilities that no other truck can offer. 2 more reasons when it comes to buying a truck. There's no reason to leave town.
Hi, Stephen DeVilbiss here, Branch Manager of Beneficial and Home Care. We are an equal opportunity employer and we do not discriminate in employment or services. It is our mission to maximize our clients' physical health and sense of mental well-being while remaining in the comfort of their home. We are currently seeking professional caregivers who share our mission to help our clients live safely and comfortably at home. Call Beneficial and Home Care. Schedule your interview today. 509-663-7900.
Pybus Public Market's motto is where community meets. Whether it's people, enjoying an event, or they meet a colleague for coffee and whip out their laptop and are able to actually do work here, having quick and reliable Wi-Fi is one of the things that makes Pybus such a great community hub. It just contributes to the welcoming place that we want Pybus to be. I'm Allie, and fiber keeps people connected, and that's what Pybus Market is all about.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. In tonight's features story, more than 500,000 acres of Washington burned this fire season, including many parts of Congresswoman Kim Schreier's 8th District. In a House Agriculture Subcommittee hearing last week, Schreier quizzed USDA Deputy Chief John Phipps on how the federal government can help the land heal once the flames have died down.
I wanted to talk about what happens after a fire. The landslides, the erosion, the lack of habitat. And I know that there's something called the Burned Area Emergency Response Teams, the BAER teams. And I wanted to talk about the fact that just like the Evans Creek fire Canyon fire spanned different areas, it's not just confined to national forest. The same thing happens really everywhere in the state of Washington. National forests, state forests, community forests. And they all essentially feed to the same place. And I was just wondering how the BAER teams coordinate the national or the federal and some of those more local efforts, because when there's a landslide, it brushes through all of it. It affects all of the surrounding water areas. Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, BAER teams are quite resourceful. A lot of them are out there even sometimes before the fire is totally out, working to do assessments. They do coordinate with local interest and other governments, and within USDA, the NRCS, for example, to try to bring to bear everything that's needed to prevent further tragedy once rains come, basically. Right. And try to do seeding, scarification, reestablishing drainage. And they're quite effective at it, and we do have funding to do that. It's going to be a challenge because doing that over 7 million acres this year will require prioritization to make sure we go after the most potentially impactful areas first.
And do you do that also in community forests and state lands, or do you just confine those efforts to federal lands?
Well, the BAER teams would coordinate if there's probably not any large, well, let me put it this way, all these large fires include private lands. If they happen to be state lands, they'd coordinate with them as well to make sure that collectively they get the best outcome.
Time now to take a look at your North Central Washington weather forecast. But before we get to the details, outside we go and a look outside our weather window. And what a day today. Look at this gorgeous shot looking up the Columbia River, the beautiful calm waters of the Columbia River today. Boy, beautiful water skiing water out there today, but lots of blue skies too and temperatures above normal. Get used to that because we're going to continue to see that. More on that in a second. Unofficially today, 78 beautiful degrees, and that's 7 degrees above where we should be at 71. We started off about average for this time of year, 50 this morning in North Central Washington. 87, our record high in 1993, record low 31, and that was in 1985. Sunrise is at 6:59, almost 7 o'clock now, and sunset is 6:43. Let's take a look at how that Wednesday forecast shapes up, and I think you're going to like it if you like that warm weather. Unseasonably warm once again for us tomorrow. In fact, even warmer, 83 in Moses Lake, Ephrata, and Quincy. We will see 83 in Wenatchee as well, Ellensburg too, and then a little bit cooler in the upper elevations, but still not bad. 80 in Leavenworth, 76 in Lake Wenatchee, and 82 for you folks up in Omak. Taking a look at the surface loop now. Tonight, let's just show you what we've got going on. I'll get out of the way. There's an area of low pressure here. High pressure goes all the way into British Columbia, and it's squeezed between another area of low pressure. That's why this high really isn't going to go anywhere over the next few days. For Wednesday, sunny skies, possible haze. We talked about this last night. The Weather Service has been bringing it up. Here's where the worst air quality is, and you can see by tomorrow afternoon, maybe Western Washington will see a little bit of that haze. Not ruling it out for us either. For Thursday, maybe a little bit more of that. I'm thinking this is what's showing up right here on our satellite picture, and that's where the unhealthy air will be once again as we get into Thursday. Don't think we're going to see it too bad. Most of the smoke here should stay about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. For Friday, sunny. Let's just call it hot with temperatures in the mid-80s as we get towards the end of the week. Keep in mind that 70 is our normal high temperature for this time of year, and you can see almost all of eastern Washington will be in the 80s on Friday. For Saturday, more sunshine as that ridge continues to bring clear skies to the Pacific Northwest, and we'll see highs once again hot in the mid-80s throughout the area, maybe even upper 80s and 90 for the folks down in the Tri-Cities. And then as we end the weekend on Sunday, lots of sunshine once again, slightly cooler, and we mean slightly. It's going to stay in the lower 80s for Sunday. As you can see all around eastern Washington, 102 if you're traveling down to the desert Southwest and Phoenix this weekend. Monday, sunny. Our temperatures will still remain above normal, and we are going to stay with those clear skies as high pressure continues to dominate our weather picture, and will do so for at least another week. Let's take a look now at your Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling 7-day forecast. Mild 53 degrees tonight for an overnight low, and we're just going to see warm temperatures through the mid and later part of the week. Maybe some haze, especially tomorrow and on Thursday. Not ruling it out right through our forecast, but it's not going to be anything like we saw earlier this month. High temperature Friday 84, and we're going to stay nice right through the weekend in the lower to mid 80s. And then by Monday, sunny and slightly cooler with a high temperature then of 80 degrees. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Dranstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Here's to 5 billion miles of amazing. 5 billion miles of...
This is so cool.
5 billion miles of helping you stay safe. 5 billion miles of passing the pump. 5 billion miles of... That's 5 billion miles driven around the world. The all-electric 2020 Nissan Leaf.
The extended range 2020 Leaf is now available at Town Nissan, right behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. Looking for great food that's also an experience? Come on out to Blueberry Hills in Manson. Open year-round and named one of the top 4 restaurants in the state worth the drive for breakfast by the Seattle Times. Serving down-home scratch country cooking with huge portions at family-friendly prices. Great food and a fun experience for the whole family, and definitely worth the drive. For more information, check our website at wildaboutberries.com.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Tuesday to you. The NFL is dealing with its first outbreak of COVID-19 that has effectively shut down facilities for the Tennessee Titans and the Minnesota Vikings. 3 Titan players and 5 staffers tested positive for COVID-19 following Tennessee's game against the Vikings Sunday. The NFL issued a statement saying both teams have suspended in-person activities through Friday. Minnesota says they don't have any positive tests. Meanwhile, Tennessee is scheduled to host Pittsburgh, while the Vikings are scheduled to travel to Houston to take on the Texans on Sunday. Both those games are now in doubt. Well, through 3 weeks of the NFL season, the Seahawks are a little beat up. The Seahawks have already lost Marquise Blair and Bruce Irvin for the season with torn ACLs. 5 Seattle players suffered slight knee injuries in Sunday's 38-30 win over Dallas. In addition, strong safety Jamal Adams suffered a groin injury. If there is a silver lining, Coach Pete Carroll says none of Sunday's injuries look very serious.
The initial reports we have back from the MRIs and the tests and all that is that none of the guys that got banged up seriously, where it's going to take a long time. We're going to have to go through the week and see how it goes, but no surgeries or any of that kind of stuff are upcoming at this point. So we might have dodged the bullet a little bit in that. But I can't, I can take you through it, but it's going to be get back on Wednesday, see where guys are, see what they can handle. I think, Jamal's going to have a hard time with the groin strain. That's going to be hard for him. We'll see if he'll be able to make it back. Chris looked really good this morning. Posick looked really good this morning. We'll find out from Damien. Damien, did better. He's got a chance. So it's just going to take us all week long to figure it out. And but we're really pleased that the reports that came back, there was nothing serious. That's going to be like guys are out for a long time, and you have to think about IR on them and stuff like that. That did not happen.
Through 3 weeks, Seattle gained leads that forced its opponents to pass to get back into the bowl games. The result has been some lopsided numbers. The Seahawks defense ranks dead last in total yards per game, passing yards per game per play, and first downs allowed. Coach Carroll says they've allowed too many deep balls and have not converted on chances to turn the ball over.
Well, we've had the first thing I'm frustrated by is we've had maybe 5 interceptions in our hands, Quinn had 3 in the first 2 games. I think Trace had 2, and Shaq got 1. So they've been on the ball for some of the plays, but everything doesn't look right to me when we get the ball thrown over our head twice in the same game. That's not supposed to happen, and you don't remember seeing that very often against us, and it's. Really good execution on their part. Both balls were really well thrown and all, but we should be on both of them. So I'm never going to be satisfied until the deep ball is not part of the game.
Offensively, Carroll says he couldn't be much happier with his team and what it's accomplished so far through the first 3 weeks of the season.
Really excited about what's going on with the throwing game with Russell and the receivers and how they're hooking up and just all of the touchdown passes. That's just such a crazy number to be thrown out there in 3 weeks' time. Who'd have known? But it's a great start for us there. I think Brian's calling a great game for us. He has all 3 weeks. He's had great games for us and great plans that comes from the staff and all the work that they do. They work really well together. They're working really well with Russ. Russ is involved, so he knows what's going on during the week, so he can help and understand stuff and make sense of it. It's just a really good collaboration right now that is really just kind of a logical, growing together that I think you hope happens. I think it's really helped Brian going upstairs. I think he's really comfortable with that and totally in command of all of the situations, and seems like he's just hitting on all cylinders, and the communication to Russ is really what's crucial, and he can talk right to Russ over the headsets anyway, so it's working out great.
Seattle travels to Miami to take on the Dolphins Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Well, one of the more memorable and for some forgettable plays in Sunday's game was a first-half pass from Russell Wilson to DK Metcalf. The second-year wide receiver had beaten the Dallas defense deep and collected what looked like a sure 63-yard touchdown pass, but then the defender knocked the ball out at the 1-yard line through the back of the end zone, and that results in a Dallas touchback. They get the ball. Now, Coach Carroll says that was a hard lesson for DK Metcalf to learn.
It's such a hard lesson for him, to have a guy knock the ball out of his hands on him, but just an exquisite play, just throw and catch and execution, everything, protection, the whole thing was gorgeous, and then we give them the football. I mean, that's just a terrible play for us to have to endure, but the lesson learned will help everybody, and fortunately we overcame it, and it didn't, wreck the game for us, but it's a terrible play. It really is, because he's got a touchdown, just finished it off, and he started celebrating too early. We celebrate in the paint is what we talk about. This is something we talk about all the time, and so it really hurt that we weren't able to execute there. But the fact that he came back, of course he did. I mean, he's such a great competitor. He's not going to let something like that hold him down. He's pissed, just like everybody else, but he bounced right back in the end. There he was, available for the game winner, and made the play.
Metcalf made 4 catches in the game for 110 yards and caught the game-winning 29-yard touchdown pass with 1:47 left. Quarterback Russell Wilson says he went to Metcalf after the first half gaffe and told him to be ready for the next opportunity.
There's no excuse for it. He knows that. He wants to be the best in the world, and the good thing about him, about him, is he'll never do it again, and he'll be ready to the next opportunity that comes to him. And like for me, he's like a little brother to me. We're so close, and so to me, I told him, I said, listen, there's another opportunity. When it comes your way, you got to make the play. Just speaking life into it, just knowing that something great's going to happen. Sure enough, he makes the game-winning touchdown, which worked out for us.
Fellow receiver Tyler Lockett, who had a career-best 3 touchdown receptions on the day, says he knew Metcalf would bounce back from his error.
I don't really remember what I said, but I think if I said anything, I was just like, hey, keep playing, like, you all right. Things like that happen. And like I said, like you said, I was really happy that he was able to score that last touchdown to be able to give us that game winner. I think it allows a lot of people to kind of let that slide, let it go. We'll talk about it. That's a learning experience for each and every person as a receiver. Whoever touches the ball, that's something that we can all just kind of think about and just be reminded that it's not over until we score and the rest blow the whistle. But ultimately, I'm really happy that he scored that touchdown. I'm really happy that he made that touchdown to allow us to win the game. And I'm just happy that we found a way, honestly. That was a tough game.
Yes, it was a tough game. Might be a tough game this weekend with all the injuries when they head to Miami. Well, the American League Wildcard Series underway today. 8 teams facing off in the Game 1 of best-of-3 series. Here's the Day 1 schedule. Twins had the early lead on Houston, while the White Sox were surprising Oakland. On now is Toronto, Tampa Bay on TBS, Yankees and Indians on ESPN. Coming up tomorrow, National League Wild Card playoffs get underway in Atlanta, Chicago, San Diego, and Los Angeles. Following the wild card rounds at the higher seeds, the remaining playoff games and the World Series will take place at neutral sites in California and Texas. That's Sports News. I'm Eric Granstrom. Grant, back to you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Can't wait for the baseball playoffs. And finally, tonight, some unfortunate news. The 59er Diner in Kashmir was permanently closed today. In a statement, Joe Canada cited the business climate in the state and the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic for closing the restaurant next to the Apple Annie Antique Gallery. Canada has owned the restaurant at the former Studebaker's restaurant location for the past 7 years. He said the 59er Diner at Cole's Corner will remain open. That restaurant near Lake Wenatchee burned to the ground in 2016, but was rebuilt and reopened in 2018. Now let's check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up tomorrow morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Thanks, Grant. On Wednesday's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, it's time to talk about flu season. It is flu season. I know the weather is beautiful, but hey, it's time to get that flu shot. You don't want the flu. And our friends from Confluence Health, who comes by and pays me a visit once a month, will do exactly that tomorrow. On Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, flu season is coming. Get those shots. A very important conversation. And everything else you need to start your Wednesday. Live and local, right here for the last day of September. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Grant, back to you.
Thanks a bunch, Dan. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.
Fishing is your dream? Make your dream a reality with a Smokercraft boat from Bobfile Boats and Motors. It's not just about catching fish, it's about making memories. See a Smokercraft boat today at Bobfile Boats and Motors. They also have a great line of pontoon boats big enough for fishing for the whole family. Find Bobfile Boats and Motors online at bobfile.com or on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee.
Bobfile Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bobfile's gonna make you smile.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.